Hey guys, welcome in to another live episode of Tunesday Tuesday. Guys, this is episode number 22, featuring an artist that I just learned about through email. She emailed us to be part of our journey here on the Boston Chris Show. And her name is Anna May. We're excited to show some songs of hers tonight. We just played one by her, which is called She's Been Painting. We're going to be talking with Anna here in a minute about a song she has out called Elegy, and her very interesting pick for Song of the Week as well. I gotta let you guys know that my wife and I have come up with two brand new song features for this week's episode that perhaps we will be doing every single week. The first one is called Global Song of the Week, which means we will be picking and featuring a song that came from somewhere else other than the United States every single week. The other thing, the other feature we're going to be doing in celebration of the beginning of baseball season is the double play. And what does that mean? It means we're going to play two songs by the same artist. And that artist is going to be our marquee artist of the week, which is something we've been doing since 2025 began. But now, going forward during baseball season only, the marquee artist of the week, which this week is Miss Summer Dean from Fort Worth, Texas, will have two consecutive songs played to end the show. So really excited about that. If you're finding this show for just by being on YouTube, and you found our interview with Anna May, and there's no music as part of this, make sure you click the recap for episode 22, which will be in your YouTube description down below if you want to watch the entire show. We are live each and every week on Facebook and Twitch at The Boston Chris Show, so you guys are welcome to join us live. If you are joining us live, thank you for coming back and being a part of this week's show. Episode 22 with Anna May is going to start right now. Let's go talk with Miss Anna May.
Hey Chris, how's it going? I'm good. How are you?
I appreciate you hanging out with me and waiting for us. We just played one of your songs to start this week's show. It's called "She's Been Painting." We always intro a song as well as in addition to the song you're here to discuss, which this week is "Elegy." I'm really excited to talk about that song. But yeah, how you been?
I've been good. Yeah. Yeah, just coming off of a tour. I did a lot of shows in California, so I'm kind of like getting back to reality, resting and chilling out. So,
So where are you
yeah.
from? Where are you from originally?
Yeah, I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from Connecticut,
Okay.
but I have been all over the place and lived in a lot of different places. So, yeah,
Uh,
I'm not like a real Yankee. I'm kind of a part part-time Yankee.
are you still in the Northeast?
No, I'm here right now. I was living in Nashville and then moved to California briefly. So I'm kind of like choosing where I'm going to end up next. But for right now, I'm in the Northeast. Yeah.
So just a free spirit then, huh?
Yeah. Well, I've been lucky to move to a lot of different places, which was cool. But I really liked Nashville. That was a good place to be for music, obviously.
Well,
And
yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah, I love Texas. I love Austin's fun. Where are you exactly? Are you in
So
Texas?
yeah, I'm in Northeast Texas, not far from
Okay.
Tyler. Actually, we're about an hour and a half east of Dallas. So
Yeah, okay.
Dallas Fort Worth is just a really burgeoning music scene. But yeah, man, you are busy,
Yeah.
busy. I've been following you since we met through email, and man, you're all over the place, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Um, I I do like to travel, but yeah, a lot of, travels have taken me to California lately, so I've been out there, and then I'm coming to Texas in May, to play at the Wildflower Music Fest, May 17th, so that'll be really fun. Happy to get back
So being
to
a
Texas.
completely independent artist, not just being a songwriter and all of that part of it's going to be interesting, right? Just mapping out and gigging and figuring
Yeah.
out, connecting the dots, so to speak, from one show to the next. Is there anything fun in that part of the business for you?
Yeah, I like that part of it. I'm very much a creative, so like my favorite thing to do is like the writing and playing actual music, but there's a part of me that likes to be like, organized and likes to get shows and talk to people and I like doing that. There's times when it's a little bit of drudgery But I think it's a good balance, because if you're doing like creative stuff, you can kind of sink into like the more, I think, like fast paced business side of it. It's fun for me
And it's
to do
just
that.
you as well, right? So just like you and your instrument. So there's a lot of different like outside the box gig ideas. I bet you kind of come across along the
Oh
way.
yeah. Yeah, I love doing, like, different kinds of
Yeah.
gigs, like, I've ended up some interesting. I played at, like, what we thought was a cult last summer. I mean, just really weird, you end up in kind of odd situations sometimes, and it's fun, like, you end up having, like, great stories, but I like to find interesting places to play that are off the beaten path and, regular venues too, but, yeah, there's a lot out there, a lot of performance spaces.
Yeah. So like you can do living rooms and restaurants and operies and I mean there's
Yeah.
I can't imagine all the different ideas that you come up with just to try to make it from one side of the country to another. Do you usually like
Yeah.
just like plan out like or kind of cut out a couple of states and then just start your tour from there and come up with ideas that way? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, for the most part, I kinda go where I know, I've over the years, like, kind of figured out where people like my music, and it's not usually in the in the Northeast. I have a
Right.
really
No,
hard
of
time
course not. Yeah.
here. Yeah, so, I figured that out kind of in my early 20s, and I was like, I think I just have to, like, go somewhere else if I'm gonna make this work, and my first stop, I went to, like, New Orleans, lived there briefly, ended up on the West Coast, and I did find that people were really, like, responsive to my music in other places, so, I do my dad's from California, and, we have a lot of friends out there, so it's been really nice. There's people out there that are kinda, like, super supportive and facilitating me coming out and doing shows, and I was really surprised that Nashville was that way too, because 'cause I'm not like a super country artist,
Right. You're
but,
not at all.
for whatever reason, yeah, but it worked, being there. I met a lot of great people in Nashville, and it was a place that I kinda didn't expect, having a like, successful shows and meeting people, but it ended up,
Yeah.
being really cool, so,
So
yeah.
I'm also from the Northeast originally, Massachusetts, born and raised, and it's funny, I'm a huge folk Americana, roots rock, singer songwriter kind of fan of music, and coming from
Yeah.
where I come from, you wouldn't think that, but like I was very blessed to have known some folk artists in the Northeast when I was growing up, which again few and far between, but thank goodness I was able to
Yeah.
uncover them as a youngster. But I wanted to talk about your website here. The bio on your website is so freaking
Oh, cool.
interesting to me
Good.
because I just want to talk about the very first couple of lines, and I want you to try to describe them a little bit more. It says tender, immersive moodscapes, which I love. PhD in breakup songs, which I love. Introspective trance folk. And so that's like a whole lot to unwrap by itself. But then it says official bio, and the first three words of the official bio should just be wrapped in gold. Alternative tragic Americana. What in the
Thank you
world
for
is
saying
that?
that.
Yes,
Thank
what
you.
is that?
Yeah, well, I used to have a hard time, like, picking out what genre I was because I think, folk is an obvious one, but then, like, there are other genres. I kinda say, like, alternative is what I am, but, yeah, I remember coming up with that. I was in my parents' basement, and I was, like, trying to write this bio and trying to, like, get a little bit more streamlined with my music. And I was like, what am I? And that was what popped out. I remember I was writing my flimsy diatribe EP, and that was the first time I thought of that. But yeah, so alternative. I think my music's pretty tragic for the most part. She's Been Painting isn't really though. That's cool.
Yeah.
A little more upbeat. And then like Americana, because I don't think I'm strictly Americana, but so hopefully it stands out, but I mean, I thought, if I have to distill what I am, that would be kind of close to what I might be.
Well, it's so hard to. I feel like it's really hard to kind of describe yourself anyway, right? Any of us, no matter whether
Yeah,
we're songwriters or
absolutely.
not, right? Like it's just so
Oh
hard
yeah.
to put that into words and try to put those words out to people who have never met you, right? Like, because obviously the idea for you is, or the goal, I would imagine, is you're out on the road. People are going to hear and see you for the first time. They're going to look you up
Yeah.
online, and then you want them to be able to see and hear further what you are and what you think of yourself online. That's the goal, right? Essentially.
Yeah, basically, yeah, and you end up, playing in a lot of different places. People are hearing you for the very first time, and it's a little bit different from like living in a city, one place where people kind of know your music. I end
Right.
up in these situations where people don't know me at all. So yeah, I have to kind of find some tricks and yeah, get people to respond and latch on to it. But it's been great. The last couple weeks were amazing, and it's cool, when that comes back and people are, like,
Mhm.
relating to the songs. It's a very cool thing, so
Yeah,
I'm
see, for
grateful
me,
for.
I'm an interviewer, so like I really grasp on to those self-reflective kind of
That's
words.
cool.
Like when an
Yeah.
artist or singer-songwriter, creative person at all, is willing to put that out there. I always want to delve a little bit deeper in that. And man, I love the introspective trance folk, tragic, just so many cool adjectives to describe you.
Cool.
And then, like, if you go down that rabbit hole of your music, it's all so very apt to who you are, what you wrote
Cool.
there.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about something that I hope you will take as a compliment because I 100% mean it as one. I
Okay.
love that you have very little structure in your music. I love that very much about you because I feel like the business in a commercial sense wants it a certain way, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah,
that's
very.
going to be a struggle as an artist because ultimately at the end of the day, if you're wanting for this to be a full-time career, you have to sell it. But if you're not
Yeah.
staying within those boundaries that the business kind of makes you stay within, it's hard to sell it. So talk about the struggle of that a little bit, because I love being able to just turn on one of your songs for 8 minutes and not expect it to end halfway done after three. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think things have gotten, like, super compressed, and I find I have this conversation a lot, with my dad, who's a musician, and other people. Like Light My Fire by The Doors, I think the original version is I think it's over 10 minutes or 8 minutes or
It's a
something, and
yeah. Inagata Davida is another song. Iron Butterfly, right down the same length that you're talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot, and I think it's just, like, the time period. I mean, I've struggled with Elegy too because it is such a longer song, and some people are, like, totally down with it, "We get it, we like it, we're gonna play it," and other people are like, "Yeah, where's your radio edit?" So, um yeah, I've had that come up a lot. I've listened to a lot of jazz, into like jam bands and different things
Hmm.
like that, where structure is very secondary to the music. And I've had a hard time in the folk realm because of that, because I don't always fit into the box. And yeah, it's something that I mean, I have shorter songs, but in my artistic sense, I really want it to kind of be what it is. And my producer Steve and I talked about this last release. He's like, we kind of should make it shorter, but I think the longer version is the version. So,
Hmm.
um, but it definitely is a struggle. I think coming from, I'd go out to hear jazz with my grandparents, and it would be like one endless song, and I kind of probably come from that school of thought. I wasn't listening to a lot of like pop radio at all. I was listening to older music. And yeah, if you go back, it's Miles Davis. There's a lot of like longer format sort of stuff going on. So
For you as a
yeah.
songwriter, like I hear this a lot. I've interviewed a lot of songwriters within structure, without it, whatever. It doesn't matter. For you, does the song kind of rule the room, right? In other words, like you're writing the song and you just let the song take you to where it goes. In the sense that you're not really looking at, maybe I should fit this story into 3 minutes or 6 minutes or a structure
Yeah.
or whatever. You just let the song take over, right?
For the most part, I think that's what I do. Yeah. Unconscious. It's not very conscious. I think like it's something that I talk to a lot of people about, like, why are your songs so long? And it really isn't a conscious choice. Like I do have songs that are like 3, 4 minutes, and Um, but lately it's been a longer song. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it just kind of is what it is, and it comes out how it comes out.
Is it
So
just because the story hasn't been told yet? Like you feel like you have to finish
that's
the
a good
story.
perspective. Yeah, especially with Elegy like that. I mean, yeah, it's like telling your side of a story in that sense. And yeah, like I have a song Bad Conversations that I think is 10 minutes. My
Yeah.
song The Show is longer. Um, yeah, I like songs that have a lot of space in them, and I obviously am playing myself. I'm not playing with a band, so
Right.
I'm doing it, like normally there might be like a band filling in those pieces, but I'm really like into lyrics, and obviously I chose a Bob Dylan song for my song. Like I really want the lyrics to be at the center, and it's kind of an experimental thing, like in this modern world where we have a lot of like distractionary things. We've got TikTok, we've got news ticker, it's a
Yep.
very compressed world, and I try to like at least carve out a space that's maybe a little bit, I use the word like trance, like meditative,
Yeah.
and maybe what, not necessarily like entertainment. I think yeah, entertainment and selling, like that's so much a part of the music business, but um I love the idea that music could be like a meditation rather
Yeah.
than, something to pull back and like take us out of the loudness of everything.
Well, I think you've answered this question for me. It's something that popped into my head before you answered it, but I kind of want to explore it a little bit further. You talked about your music being very lyrical, your songwriting being very lyrical, but telling a story is not 100% lyrical. It never is. Otherwise, it would be a poem and not a song, right? So, how
True,
much
yeah.
how much of your story is told with the melody of a song, as opposed to the
Ooh,
to
that's
the
a good point.
lyrics?
Yeah, I think yeah, like the tone of the music, the musicality of a song really helps to tell a story. I would say with Elegy too, when I first the melody came first for me, which is unusual. I usually come up with lyrics first, but when I started finding that melody, I was like, this really sounds like Southern California. Like I don't, and when I hear it when I'm driving in SoCal, it really is that place. And I feel like I pinpointed it. And it's the melody. It's not as much the words. It's like the mood and the somber and those sorts of chords. And I think, we don't always like perfectly achieve it, but I do feel really like satisfied in Elegy because it is like those chords and that mood that I think a lot of people maybe who live there respond to. It kind of captures something.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. That's good stuff, man. It's so cool having awesome songwriters to chat with all the time. I'm so blessed.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
cool
Thank you
to
for
talk
reaching out. I appreciate it. Let's
about.
talk about your pick of the week. You alluded to it being a Bob Dylan song, and
Yeah.
I love this because you're the first person to not only pick Bob Dylan, but also picked a certain version of a certain
Yeah.
song, which I love even further because, again, I'm a curious soul, so I have to ask
That's
those
good.
questions. So the song is called "Idiot Wind," which is not exactly a well-known song by Dylan. First of all, which I've known of
Yeah.
the song. I have not heard the version that you picked. So
Okay.
I want to know, A, why did you pick this song as your pick of the week? And B, what is it about this specific version that you like most?
Yeah. So, yeah, I this is the only version I think I really know and have heard. It's like a much slower version than I guess what is like the faster version of Idiot Win, which I don't know, it's like a completely different song when you listen to the fast versus the slow. And I think some of the lyrics are different between the songs. So this slower version has more unusual lyrics than the traditional one that people do know. And I guess it's not super well known. I didn't know that, but um, I think this is one of the most like relatable Bob Dylan songs. I think he can be very like cryptic and esoteric, and this to me feels very like human and personal from him. And it's a song about kind of like a statement on alienation between people, and it kind of mirrors like my song Elegy. I definitely like it's my my song Elegy is kind of like my version of Idiot Wind, and there's just some really like profound but simple lyrics. You find out when you reach the top, you were on the bottom. Like that's such an amazing lyric that I think about a lot.
Mm,
And at the final shot, he won the war after losing every battle. It's just a very personal song, and I think you really see like the human Bob Dylan. I think he's such a legend,
mm.
but this is like so intimate, and
Well, I do want to
yeah, I just
clarify if you're not a Dylan fan, you probably haven't heard of this song. If you're a Dylan fan, you have. It is a well known song if you're a
yeah,
Dylan fan. but like outside of being a huge Dylan fan, most people have not heard of this song. So I'm excited to
Yeah,
share it. It's going to be fun for sure.
cool.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's a good song.
let's talk about Elegy. That's the song we're featuring tonight with Miss Anna May on the show for the first time. Tell us about the song, how it came to be. You did allude to it a little bit
Yeah.
with it being a California SoCal vibe. But,
Yeah.
was that the impetus for the song?
Yeah, and a breakup. Hence PhD in breakup
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Yeah, I went out to San Diego. I had met someone, thought I was gonna end up in San Diego, and we broke up over the holidays, and, it's kind of strange. Like, it was very unexpected, and my I kind of transferred my whole life to Southern California and, got some shows there, started to kind of build, what I thought was gonna be my future there. Um, and things changed, pretty abruptly. But what was interesting is this song kind of didn't come about until like the end of January. I thought for the longest time, like, I'm not gonna have a song about this. Like, it was so abrupt, it was so fast. And then sure enough, this song came. And yeah, like I said, I think I'm proud of it in that I think it does pinpoint a place and a person, obviously. And, songs can go in a lot of different directions, but with this in particular, I really felt like I got it right. I felt like, okay, this is it. And I feel that when I hear it. And um, I don't like listening to all of my songs after, but I have actually been listening to this, and I just wanted it to be like something really visceral and something like relatable, even if it's very detailed. I think and for people who live in San Diego, would kind of appreciate it. But I think it can kind of cross lines and be appreciated by anyone. And what was interesting is I kind of premiered it on KXFM a couple of weeks ago, and I never thought of it, but the chorus is kind of like San Diego. It's just kind of this aching like San Diego. And the host had said, well, it's kind of like you're saying that instead of saying the person's name. And I just
Yeah.
never really thought of that. But I said, wow, that's a really, really cool way to interpret it. And it kind of is that way.
Yeah,
So
interpretation of music is amazing, isn't it?
what was that?
I said interpretation of music is
I
amazing.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so cool to, like, have be on shows like this, because you really do, hear people's perspective on songs. It's
Yeah.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. We're excited to have
Yeah.
you here, Anna. If people are hearing about you for the first time, where can they follow along with everything you got going on?
Yeah, I guess Instagram, like Instagram.com/animefolk. I try to update that. I have YouTube. I think everywhere I'm just anime folk, and maybe, like, there's a backslash on it on YouTube, I think. I have a Facebook. And then like my music's on Bandcamp, so anime.bandcamp.com. And I think I'm on Spotify, but I don't have all my songs there. I do have Elegy, and I have like some recent songs, but I'm a little bit anti Spotify.
And you, I'm there with you. I understand that completely. You do have a
Yeah,
website as well. It's animemusic.com that you guys can go check out. We'll make sure for those of you that are watching this in the future, not the live version, we will make sure that there is a link in the description for the webpage. For you folks out there that are watching live, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that into our chats right now so you guys can check her out. Again, check out the bio, which really stood out for me. But again, I'm that interviewer geek, right? The songwriting nerd. So like I see bios like that, I get stoked about it. But you guys click on that. Make sure you're following Anna everywhere. You can click on the website to the contact area to find all of your different social medias and stuff. And it is anime folk pretty much everywhere. So you guys make sure you're following along with Anna. And Anna, thank you so much again for your time tonight. We're gonna get into the music.
thanks so much for having me, Chris.
All right, man. Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out anytime.
Okay, cool.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
You have a good rest of your
Have
night.
a good one. Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye bye.
Thanks.
That was Anna May Folk once again here on Tunesday Tuesday number 22. I want to reiterate again, if you are here for the interview only on YouTube, again, the recap for the entire episode will be in your description below for episode 22 if you want to check out all the music as well.